Officials now say 7 people have been killed by the outbreak of E. coli in Walkerton, Ontario, and they warn it could be as many as 9.
The Walkerton crisis is one of the largest water main sieges in recent Canadian history. The crisis was primarily driven by E. coli, or otherwise known as Escherichia coli. The disease attacks the urinary tract, coinciding with the kidneys as well. It can branch off to many brutal diseases like anemia, bloody diarrhea, and kidney failure.
In Walkerton, this virus caused approximately 2,000 people to fall ill and went to the extreme of 7 reported fatalities. To furtherly understand how this could have escalated this far, you must know the preemptive.
All water collected in wells has the potential to contain bacteria. However, there is a chlorination system in place to kill all that bacteria, as well as human-run tests to regularly check chlorine levels. In Walkerton, this process got affected though. Due to having human regulation systems, it allows for human error as well as negligence.
Okay, so now that we've gone this far and everyone's still wildly awake, let's get into the probability of this to happen. For the entire event to take place, the percent is less than 1, which is an extremely small number.
To furtherly escalate into the developing E. coli crisis in Walkerton, we can dig deeper into our evidence to find who and why. It was publicly stated that the Cobble siblings were charged for the destruction of public health and to avoid any more errors. They had to cut the funding for the environmental industry and incorrectly followed the chlorine level, which led to the contamination continuing in the water system.
The twins were found responsible for the outbreak and was determined in Superior Court by Judge Bruce Durno that although it may not have been the intent, it still happened as a result. Stan Coble, the old PUC manager, was sentenced for 1 year in prison whilst Frank was given 9 months house arrest. Although human error is very prominent, it was not the only source of error.
Machines are man's best friend, and we rely on them for a majority of projects. However, this might have been one of the largest mistakes during the initial outbreak of the crisis. A chlorinator, which is used to kill bacteria in the water supply by mixing the water with chlorine.
The way a chlorinator usually works is by introducing just enough chlorine into the well water, which cleans the water and kills off bacteria. In Walkerton's case, the machine malfunctioned, leaving the water susceptible to E. coli. The chlorinator was a very reliable machine. Sadly, this was its downfall. The chlorine residual, or amount of chlorine in the tank, was often overlooked in routine checks. As the chlorine emptied, it allowed bacteria to pass into Walkerton's drinking water.
It could also be pointed under human error in the designs of the wells. Architecturally, the design can be flawed in many ways and also plays a major beneficiary factor.
To put this into perspective, the well is positioned at the bottom of a hill, and at the top is a barn with cattle. This means that any fecal or any other sort of bacterial matter that gets washed down the hill has the potential to contaminate the well.
In this situation of Walkerton, the farm had just placed manure over the fields, and then came a large amount of rain. This caused the chlorinator to be completely overwhelmed and fail. Along with no human regulation, E. coli got into the water supply.
This corresponds to how we can be naive about test results to either make us appear better or to avoid doing extra. There's a huge role in Walkerton because of test results appearing positive for E. coli and the PUC manager taking no initiative to address the matter. However, this is only a small portion of the numerous mistakes to occur.
This correlates with everything that miraculously transpired within sequence of one another in order to change into what we know today. This includes the design, the heavy rainfall after manure is put down, the sequencing of the chlorinator to fail to stop contamination in the water supply.
It goes to show how unlucky it truly was for this outbreak to occur, and how easily it could have been avoided if one factor could have been removed. However, in having these advisories, it will always be possible for these events to reoccur.
Walkerton is in the past, so we say. However, we want it to stay in the past and not resurface back into our lives. In order to maintain this statement and work towards it being a fact, we need to change.
Trudeau has pushed to eliminate all water advisories by 2021. Considering the severity of the issue, one possible avenue is to raise taxes by 0.5% and allocate the funds to acting faster and solving the issue permanently.
Some of our pipelines date back to the 80s, and we all know the older something gets, the more likely it is to fail. We need to minimize cost to the public by increasing scale and capacity in prevention of water, waste, and services. Changes must be made and done soon before it is too late, before nothing can be done. In order to think about the future, we need to be able to have a future.